Hi everybody, it's Alana McGinn from Goodnight Sleep Site, and we are going to be talking about all things back to school. It is already almost that time. I was just talking to my kids today, and for them, a month is a lifetime. So they don't believe that school is happening so soon. But to me, a month is gonna go like that. And all I keep thinking of is all the things I still need to do, all the things I still want to do with them for the summer. We still have beaches to go to and day trips to do. And then I think of all the things I need to prepare. I like to be prepared. So all the things I need to buy and to their back to school supplies and their back to school clothes, and then to get them back on track on their sleep routine. That's what we're gonna be talking about tonight. From kindergarten to high school, I am here to answer all of your back to school questions. I know a big one is for all those little ones that are starting kindergarten soon, how we are going from napping to full day, everyday school, which can be a really big transition for a little one. So I want to give you guys some tips on how to make that adjustment as easy as possible. So for those who are tuning in, hello everybody that's watching. I'm Alana McGinn. I'm from Goodnight Sleep Site. Our website is goodnightsleepsite.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can follow us on Facebook at Goodnight Sleep Site. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GN Sleep Site. And feel free to ask me those back to school questions. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start with those little ones. My youngest are going into SK. So last year I was in that boat of having them go into full day, everyday school, and they weren't used to that. I'm fortunate where I'm able to work from home. So they were used to that home routine, bedtime and daytime routine, and suddenly they're thrown into a classroom with 30 kids. And it's a big adjustment for them, especially for my twin daughter. She is what I call my sleep sensitive baby or child now. So she really needs that routine. She had a hard time dropping her naps. She had a hard time letting go of her naps. Now I did start dropping their naps and giving them quiet time around this time. Hi Becky, thanks so much for joining. Around this time, so around August, about a month before school started, I cut out all of naps because I wanted them to get used to being up all day. My son handled it no problem. He was always, the more independent sleeper of the two. My daughter struggled a little bit, so I still offered her some quiet time during the day, some quiet time in her room if she needed it, but for the most part, I really tried to get her used to having no sleep throughout the day. So what I would do is I would move up her bedtime. So because we're getting rid of that daytime sleep, because there's that loss of sleep throughout the day, we want to make sure that we're moving up bedtime, and we definitely want to start doing that during the school year. So the first tip that I'm going to give you guys, especially for those little ones, guys, when they're going back to school, it's a big adjustment. It's a long day for them. Move up bedtime. The most important step that you can do. So half an hour earlier than usual. More if you can do it. It depends on your child, okay? Some are more sleep sensitive than others. So if you can move up that bedtime, make bedtime early, make up for that lost sleep that they're having throughout the day, make up for those busy days, it's really gonna help that adjustment even more. Now, the adjustment can last a while. So you're looking at a couple of months, I would say even until Christmas it could take. So, really move up that bedtime, but also bring back bedtime and bring back that bedtime routine. During the summer, bedtime routine gets thrown out the window, right? We're busy with the summer, we're at barbecues and picnics and it's light outside. So even I forget, oh my God, it's bedtime. You forget what time it is because it is so light out. So what you wanna make sure is to get back onto that routine, get the whole family back on the routine and get them back to not only an age-appropriate bedtime, but also back to that consistent bedtime routine. So about 30 minutes before bedtime, start practicing that consistent routine with them. And you can even start now in the summer, okay? And the nights that you can do it, try and do that. Go up into their room, bring down that stimulation, read them a story, talk about their day, mix it up a little bit. Maybe instead of a story, you guys color a little bit together, or you guys, make up your own stories. I don't know, get creative. We actually have an initiative at Goodnight Sleep Site called Bring Back Bedtime. And if you head over to goodnightsleepsite.com/bringbackbedtime, we offer a great free resource for parents that give you really fun ideas that you can do with your little ones at bedtime, really fun ideas that parents can do together at bedtime. So there's lots of other things that you can do with your kids at bedtime other than just the normal story. Totally support literacy. Please still read with your child, but there's other fun things that you can also do to have fun bedtime activities with your kids and to help prepare them for sleep. So for my kindergarten goers, okay, make sure that you're making bedtime early during that transition. Super, super important. And then you also want to make sure that you're bringing back bedtime. And this is across the board in terms of ages, okay? Even our grade school kids, our elementary school kids, our tweens, our teens, even mom and dad, getting back into that bedtime routine is tough for us too. So maybe we need to be going to bed a little bit earlier as well. Maybe we need to bring back our own bedtime routine and get back on track. For our little kids as well, we also want to make sure that we are offering that quiet time on the weekend if they need it, okay? So while they're adjusting to the new routine, to the new, full day everyday school, try and keep your weekends light in terms of your schedule, okay? Try not to overschedule your weekends if you don't have to, at least for the first month if you can do it. Offer them that quiet time, maybe even nap time during the day is okay, just to help them recoup and recover from the week, and then to help prepare them so that you know that they're entering that week of school well rested and ready to take on the week. So if you guys have any questions for back to school sleep, please let me know. Post them in the comments below for all age groups, for yourself as well. Again, I'm Alana McGinn from Goodnight Sleep Site, goodnightsleepsite.com, and tonight we are talking about back to school sleep and how to get back on track for the school season. So we're even going to be talking about our grade school. So for older kids, we're talking our teens and our tweens. As we know, social media, tech is their holy grail, okay? It is what they are so dependent on and what they want. So we want to make sure that we are removing tech from all environments in their bedroom, even our own, okay? So we have to be our kids' own sleep ambassadors, their sleep role models, okay? So if we're removing tech from their rooms, we should be removing tech from our own rooms, okay? So one thing that I like to create is what we call a family docking station within our home. So somewhere in your house, not in your bedrooms, somewhere where you guys can plug in overnight, plug in all the devices, keep everything organized and out of the bedroom, so that we don't have tech in our room, and that's not then encroaching into our bedtime. It's the bright screens. We're not in front of the bright screens before sleep too. So make sure that we're removing tech for all age group, but really a focus obviously on our tweens and teens and on mom and dad as well. So we have a message or a question from Becky. Getting up early and out the door for school in September is the hardest for all of us. Tell me about it. The morning routine is so tough to reestablish. Yes. Absolutely. That was actually a fear of mine, Becky, when I was starting last year, because I was used to just having one kid in that morning routine. So I kind of had it down where I could deal with her, get her out the door, and then it was just me and the twins. And then I thought, now I have 3 kids that I have to get out the door. They're at different schools, so different bus stop drop-offs, breakfast, everything. So one thing that I did do that I recommend to parents who have multiple kids who don't have the benefit of a uniform. Okay, my kids don't have a uniform, so that's different outfits every single day. Is I bought those bins, those Rubbermaid, or those bins like the drawers that you can buy at any kind of, Walmart or wherever. 5 days, so 5 bins worth. And every Sunday, I'd get together all their outfits, all, 5 days of the week, all their outfits. I put them in each bin. Monday, Tuesday, label them. Mabel's Label, shout out. Label them all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so that in the morning they go upstairs, their outfits are already chosen. I don't have that fight, which can be so hard. And then they can go and pick out their outfits, get changed themselves while I'm getting their breakfast ready, while I'm doing their lunches. I am yet to be that mom that does the lunches at night. Props to those moms who do it. it is always my intention going into every school year to do lunches at night, but I never do it because I don't want it when they go to bed. Like, I don't want, the kitchen's clean, dinner's over. The last thing I want to be doing is making lunches. So I'm a lunch in the morning kind of person, but I'm okay. Like, I've got it under control. I'm not the Pinterest lunchbox mom by any means, but they get fed well. So while they're getting changed, I'm getting their lunches, and it's a great way to start the day. So absolutely, Becky, not only is bedtime routine super, super important, but morning routine is just as important because it really does set the pace for the rest of the day and just sets the kind of mood that they're going to be in throughout the day. So super, super important. Thank you so much for tuning in. We also want to open up the communication about sleep, okay? And this is for all ages. Becky, I do the lunches in the morning too. I think I'm the worst offender for getting out the door in the morning. I love summer slow starts. I do too. And you know what? The kids do too. I found actually this year by June, my son, my twin son, he was just kind of done. Like he was, he would come home from school and he would just look tired. And he did great all year. He actually adjusted really quickly. But by June, he was just like over it, like over the routine, over the everyday. And to be honest, I was over it too. It's funny, in June, we're so done with the routine, ready for it. But by like in a couple of weeks, I think we're going to be ready. I think both of us are going to be ready for that routine to start up again. I don't know about you, but I know I will. But we also want to start opening up, as I was saying, the communication about sleep, okay? So start talking to your kids about sleep, and this is at all ages. Obviously, there's different conversations that you can have depending on the age of your child, but start talking to them about sleep, on the importance of sleep. So don't just tell them that they have to go to sleep, okay? Tell them why they have to go to sleep. So why is sleep so important? How does sleep make you feel? How do you feel when you've had that really good night of sleep? How do you feel when you haven't had that good night of sleep? This is really good, especially for those kids that are giving you kind of a hard time at night, getting up in the middle of the night and maybe perhaps not sleeping well. How does mom and dad feel when you've let mom and dad sleep the whole night? Mom and dad feel wonderful. Thank you so much. You let mom and dad sleep all night. They want to please us. So we have to offer them that praise when they give us those really good nights, and ask them, why do you think we need to sleep? What is sleep? It's a tough question, but you'd be really interested in hearing kind of how they respond. And with our little kids, what I like to do also is relate sleep and the amount of sleep that they need to animals, because kids relate really well to animals. So if you have a pet dog, or if there's just a favorite animal that your child really likes and really relates to, find out how they sleep. Find out the duration in which they sleep. So how long do they sleep during the day, at night? Where do they sleep? How do they sleep? And that's a great way to kind of start that communication with your child and get them interested in sleep. And, it's so easy for us to say, eat your vegetables because they're good for you. And, don't be mean to your brother because, you have to be kind and you have to be nice. But we don't talk to them about sleep. So doing that, starting that at a young age, but even doing that with our teens and with our tweens, it's really a great way to form a healthy relationship between your child and sleep. So definitely start communicating the importance of sleep and the need of sleep, even as young as kindergarten, once they're going into kindergarten. Laura has a question. My son is starting JK in September. He's 3.5 years old. We have a pretty solid bedtime routine, but he stalls. Oh yes, the stallers. And it's sometimes 1 to 2 hours later before he falls asleep. I'm worried he won't be rested enough for school. Hang on. Rested enough for school. Any advice? So the bedtime routine stallers, absolutely such a common struggle that age group has, even a little bit younger and even a little bit older. So there are certain things that you can do. First thing you've already done, which is amazing, Laura. Have that solid, consistent bedtime routine so that he knows, hey, it's time to go to bed. So give him that fair warning, bedtime in 5 minutes, time to go to bed. At his age, he gets it. He understands what's going on. So again, opening that communication about sleep, why he needs to sleep, what's going to happen, so that there is no confusion. so that he understands the expectations. You could even sit down at this age, and it can start as young as 3.5, and have kind of family sleep rules. So I like doing this with the older kids, but you can even do this with the younger kids because they need to know what are the expectations. What do you want to see happening? So once they know that, they tend to follow those rules a little bit easier. Now, for those who still give us a hard time, consistency is key, okay? So you definitely have to go in with a plan that you and your partner both agree on, so you have support on both sides, and be consistent with that plan, okay? And follow through. Remember, we do not negotiate with toddlers. Now, he's not a toddler, he's a little bit older than a toddler, but there's no negotiations here, okay? You've got to take that control back, and it doesn't have to be by yelling at him and getting him in trouble, but just so that he understands that it is time to go to bed. Now, there's different things that you can do at that age group. There's visual clocks that you can buy. I don't know if you've tried this, Laura. They call them toddler clocks, but you can use them for the older kids too who can't quite tell the time yet. And really what this is, it shows a visual picture when it's time to go to bed, and then a visual picture when it's time to wake up. So for instance, one that we use often with Goodnight Sleep Site has a little bunny. So it has a little bunny sleeping and then a little bunny awake with a backpack. So the light goes on the little bunny that's sleeping when it's time to go to bed, and then when it's time to wake up in the morning, it shines with we have a grow clock, so you know them, okay? So he's fighting you on the grow clock too. So I'm not a big fan of sticker reward charts. I don't like rewarding them to go to sleep. The big reward is sleep, okay? And that's what they need to understand. He might need some visual cues in terms of bedtime routine. So if he's really stalling at bedtime, Mommy, I want one more story. Mommy, I want another drink. Mommy, I want another glass of water. Having just a visual picture or visual chart of your bedtime routine can work really well, and that's something that you can do with him together. So go to the dollar store, to wherever, to Walmart or whatever, buy a Bristol board and use pictures, because he can't read yet, of your bedtime routine. So putting on your pajamas, brushing your teeth, reading a story, saying prayers, kisses and cuddles, having whatever your bedtime routine is, and make sure to include his go-to excuses, okay? So whatever he asks for 5 to 10 times, make sure you're including that on the visual chart. Put that up in his room and explain to him every time that you go through the chart, a sticker goes on or something goes on, so that he can visually see that that step is done, so that when he does ask for it again, you can point to the chart and say, we've already done it, it's time to go to bed. But you've got to be consistent with that, okay? So those are a couple of little tips. We actually have a great post on our blog called our sleep toolkit that we use, kind of tools of the sleep trade, and we have little fun things like that. We have ideas for quiet time boxes, and for the visual clocks and the visual charts, and even a little marble jar that you can use. So if you head over to goodnightsleepsite.com under toddler sleep, you can find that blog post, and you know what, I'll post it actually in the comments so you can maybe read up on that, and that might help you too, Laura. Good luck with starting JK. This is like a whole new chapter. It's very exciting. He's gonna do great. Remember to bring up that bedtime for those first few weeks. Colleen wants to know, my 5-year-old is in bed at 8, goes right to sleep, and has usually been up at 6:37 until starting kindergarten this week. Now he's sleeping till 7:30, and I have to wake him, and he is exhausted. But I know it's such a big, you're welcome, Laura, such a big transition for them. I put him to bed at 7:30. Is it really possible he needs 12 hours of sleep? Do they usually adjust after a few weeks of starting all-day school? I feel bad, he's so tired. They do adjust, okay? I know it's so hard to see them go through it sometimes, and again, some kids it takes a little bit longer to adjust. At this age, and with this start of what he's doing, what we don't want to do is take away sleep, okay? And I think that's where we tend to go wrong, to be honest, is that kindergarten starts, and listen, I get it. Parents are working, we're picking up kids are coming home, we're having dinner, we're all sitting around the dinner table, then there's the bedtime routine, there's homework for the older kids, and bedtime just gets pushed out and pushed out and pushed out. We might have activities at night. So now is not the time when they're going through this kind of adjustment where we want to make bedtime later. What we want to actually do is make bedtime earlier. So you said that bedtime is 8, you moved it up to 7:30, which is amazing. In all honesty, you might even have to make it earlier than that for the first month or so, okay? So 7 o'clock at his age, just starting kindergarten, isn't too early. So don't worry about that, okay? And to be honest, he'll probably accept it beautifully. He will adjust. I know it's so hard, but he really, really will. So really try to move up that bedtime earlier until he does adjust. And you'll be able to see when you can start kind of creeping it back down and back down. My twins are 5. They're going to be 6 in March. They still go to bed at 7. 7:30 sometimes, but for most of the time it was 7. To be honest, the first week where my daughter went to kindergarten, she was asking me to go to sleep at 5:30. And I was like, okay, go. And she slept all through the night. And that lasted about a week or two. And then I kept their bedtime early, and with time, they really did adjust. So now's the time to offer more sleep, not remove more sleep. So don't worry, Colleen, he's gonna do great. He's gonna adjust fine. In a month or so, he's gonna be a completely different kid, and he's gonna be doing great. So thank you so much for tuning in. So until more questions come in, I also wanted to touch on things that you can do at bedtime to kind of help de-stress. You are so welcome, Colleen. Things that you may want to do to de-stress, okay? So, starting school, whether it be with our younger kids, with our kindergarten kids, whether it be with our older kids, when they start getting in some of those social environments, some stress can form, some anxiety, some fears. When we're dealing with maybe, they're worried about certain activities that they're doing or something like that. There's some great things that you guys can start incorporating at bedtime for our older kids, okay? So we're talking more grade school level kids, but even for our younger ones as well, and even our tweens and teens as well, okay? Things like meditation, okay, mindful breathing, to get them to relax and de-stress and calm down a little bit before going to sleep and kind of quiet the mind, okay? One thing that I did create, an article that I actually wrote for Yummy Mummy Club, and I will post that in our comments, was on a sharing journal and on a note box, which I love the idea of a note box. So the shared journal is basically an agreement that you have with your child, that you guys can share thoughts, worries, concerns. Your child can write it in the journal, and this journal is for you and your child to read, okay? So they know that whatever they're gonna write in the journal, you're gonna read it. Sometimes when they have these fears and these anxieties, they want to tell us, but they don't know how to tell us. They might not want to necessarily say it out loud. So writing it down, even as myself as an adult, often writing it down is a lot easier than saying it out loud. Okay, so that's why I like the idea of the shared journal. So this is a journal that they can write in, no matter what they're going through in that time in their life, they can share these thoughts with you, and then they can put in the journal whether or not they want to speak to you about it. Sometimes just having us know about it is enough to calm those anxieties and fears down a little bit. They might not even really want to talk about it. So what's important is that you follow those rules though. So unless it's something where you're concerned about their well-being, about their health, about their mental state, you have to respect the fact that they don't want to talk about it. They know you've read it, you know that they know that you've read it, and you just have to leave it at that. Or they can say, you know what, Mom and Dad, I want to talk to you about it. And this is where bedtime is so important, because this is the opportunity. Listen, we're so busy during the day. We're often ships just passing and just, going through the steps of the day and getting everybody off to bed. So bedtime routine is a time where everyone can connect, can get together, and to discuss what needs to be discussed. So if they want to talk to you about it, that's a great opportunity to do it. The box is the same kind of idea where they can write little notes, they can put it in the box, and it's the same kind of idea where they know that you're going to read the notes. They can write on the note whether or not they want to talk to you about it or not. But again, it's just it's kind of like a dump, right? It's getting those thoughts and those fears and anxieties out there. Okay, so I really, really do like that idea. Another great thing that you can do with your kid is, and I mentioned it before, is coloring at bedtime, especially for our older kids. Often they get home from school and we're asking them, how was your day? Fine. What'd you do? Nothing. It's really hard to get that information that Mom and Dad really want from our kids. So, coloring together and offering that kind of backdrop is a really great way for you to start asking some of those open-ended questions about their school day and about their day and about what's going on in their lives, especially for our older kids. Adult coloring is huge right now. So, Mom and Dad grab a coloring book, your child can grab a coloring book, and during your bedtime routine, maybe color a page page together. But while you're coloring, start opening up that communication about their day and start asking some of those open-ended questions. So that's a really fun bedtime idea that you can do for all ages, really, even with our really little kids too. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. I mean, you guys don't have any more questions. If you do, please feel free to ask. If you do have any more questions, post them in the comments, and the next couple days I can definitely jump on and answer them for you. The one thing that I do want to talk about though, and this is in regards to our older kids, something that we have to understand is that when they do go through puberty, and that's going to happen soon for that age group, what happens is their natural circadian rhythms, okay, our biological clock shifts. So often what I hear from parents who have kids anywhere between that kind of, even as young as 8 to 12 years old and 13, 14 years old, is why all of a sudden is bedtime such a nightmare? Why are they giving me such a hard time to go to bed? Why is it taking them so long for them to fall asleep, especially with our teens, okay? And this is why there's a lot of start school later campaigns that are going on, because biologically speaking, like I said, their body clocks shift. And when their body secretes melatonin, that's our natural sleep hormone, secretes later throughout the night. So we might be telling our kids, our tweens, our teens, to go to bed at 10, 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But biologically speaking, their body isn't allowing them to fall asleep until later on in the evening, until maybe 11 or 12 o'clock at night. So that's why these organizations are starting, because what's happening is even though their body's telling them to fall asleep later, they still need those 9 to 10 hours of sleep in that age group. But because school is starting so early for them, they're not getting the amount of sleep that they need to get, okay? So again, opening the conversation with your child about this, just so that they understand what's going on with their body. Practicing some of the techniques that I told you guys about before with the de-stressing, trying to reduce some of the anxiety, trying to quiet some of the mind, getting them on a consistent bedtime routine, very important for this age group. Removing tech, again, I cannot stress this enough, especially with this age group, okay? The tweens and the teens, get rid of the tech in their rooms. It's really important because something that needs to be discussed, and something that I might actually do an article on to discuss a little bit more, is the issue of drowsy driving, okay? And it's this age group where we start seeing that happening. So that's something obviously that we want to avoid. We want to keep our kids not only well rested so that they're more alert when driving, but we know that throughout the school age, and this is for all age group, there's better cognitive ability, stronger immune system, much more pleasant temperament. Your teachers will thank you. Their teachers will thank you. So we definitely want to keep that age group well rested throughout the day. So focusing on consistent sleep patterns, consistent bedtime routine is super important. So that is your back to school sleep tips from kindergarten to high school. So no matter what age group you have, and you know what, even you, mom and dad, can take some of those tips and apply them to your own sleep habits, can really work very well. Listen, there's a month before school starts for most of us, for us at least in Canada. So if you have any sleep questions, please follow us at goodnightsleepsite.com Goodnight Sleep Site on Facebook. You can go to our website at goodnightsleepsite.com and find out how to work with a Goodnight Sleep Site consultant. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at GN Sleep Site. And thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.